morning. I'd like to call the Wednesday, June 18th, 2025 meeting of the Appeal Committee to order. I'm Councillor Jeff Rawati from the North Kildonan Ward. I'm joined this morning by Councillor Janice Lukes from Waverly West and Councillor John Orlico from River Heights, Fort Garry. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. Councillor Orlico, would you move that the minutes of the meeting held on May 21, 2025 be taken as read and confirmed?
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I'll now have the clerk introduce the process.
In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is the appellant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the appeal. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. Finally, the appellant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, however, no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it's your opportunity to speak. However, you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult the City Clerk's Department website. Please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be a part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department. Item 1 is an appeal against the decision of the Director of Planning, Property and Development to approve a variance for 19 Carstuck Bay under file DAV 131-278A/2025B. Members of the committee, please note communications were received in support of the appeal. In opposition to the appeal, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. All participants have been muted and will only be permitted upon. Once you've been heard, you can either remain in the Zoom meeting or leave and continue to watch live via the city's YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I'll turn it over to the administration for a brief overview.
Oh, perhaps before I go there, I neglected to move a leave of absence motion for Councillor Allard. Thank you, Councillor Orlico. It's for city business. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Sorry. Thank you.
Good day, councillors and Mr. Clerk. The subject site is on the west side of Carstuck Bay, north of Yasmin Ali Way, in the recent neighborhood of Waverly West B in the Assiniboia community. 19 Carstuck is an interior lot. It's 40.6 feet wide at the front and 64.6 feet wide at the rear. It's 114 feet deep and is approximately 6,023 square feet in area. The applicant is proposing to construct a one-story, a 12 by 19 addition in the rear yard. A variance is required for a reduced rear yard. It is recommended that the appeal be rejected. This concludes my summary. However, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Okay. So it's basically extending 6.73 feet past the existing structure.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I have no more questions.
Thank you. All for the appellant.
Correct. I'll call for the appellant. I apologize if I mispronounced this. Kubra Gursoy. I'm just going to ask you to unmute and turn on your camera, and you'll have up to 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I am Kübra Gedikaslan Gürsoy. Immediately, I would like to share my screen, if possible. Or I can show you. Yeah, this is my computer. Okay. I am Kübra Gedikaslan Gürsoy, and he is my husband, Vahdi Gürsoy. I'm a project manager, and he is a construction estimator in the construction industry. We are working. As you can see, this is the plan of the Bison Run, and our house is the fourth one, this 14 one, and the other house, appeal, is 13 one. Here, I would like to show you. Unfortunately, I couldn't connect via my laptop and couldn't show you properly. This is our house, and we purchased this house because of privacy. We purchased this house last year in January. It is Artista design. We love Artista, and there was another Artista building at Bison Run, but that house was so close to. It is here. I also take that plan. It is the sixth one, Artista one, but as you can see, it is close to other buildings here. So due to privacy, although the other one is much more cheaper and it is better for our budget, we decided to purchase 15 Karşıyaka Bay, because we believe that it will give us more privacy. And then, as you can see, this is the this meeting is related with the season sunroom on top of existing second floor deck. This is our house, and this is the deck. As you can see, the end point of this house, our deck, and is the end of the 19 Karşıyaka Bay is the same, and the deck is 5 meter, approximately 5 meter in front of us, and this sunroof, if the constructed, it will block this area. I highlighted red here. Then construction, we believe that this construction negatively impact our property and should be reconsidered. Why? Loss of lake view and side view. It will obstruct our view of the lake and side view, which is a major amenity and enhances our property value and enjoyment. This is our deck, and this is the view from, yeah, think about, this is the current one, and this is the when it is blocked. So we will lose our lake view and side view. Now this is the photo from my living room, and as you can see from my living room, I can see this is the opposite of our home, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 house. But when it is built, even though it is glass, there will be a block here, and I can just see until this point. So the second thing is it will negatively affect on property value. The loss of side view or lake view could reduce our home's market value. Homes with higher privacy, open view typically higher valued in Winnipeg, and blocking that view is detrimental. We purchased this home with expectation that the view would remain. And we have some privacy concerns here. As you can see, a sunroof structure may allow overlooking into our backyard and windows, violating our right to privacy. Why? Because right now, we have very large windows and we enjoy it, and we generally don't use our curtains. It is open. Why? Because the distance between our living room and the opposite one is approximately 15 meters. As I told you, therefore we purchased it. There is a walking road between us, so it gives us much more privacy. But when there is a something built here, so it will be much more closer to us. So the other issue is non-conformance with neighborhood character. We believe that such structure may not fit the architectural or aesthetical character of our neighborhood. Nearby homes have open decks and no similar roof structure, and this will set.
Yeah, can you wrap up in a minute?
Okay, my husband will talk.
So by council, all in favor, opposed, carried.
Okay. Now, nearby homes have open decks and no similar roof structures, and this could set a precedent. As you can see, we have a corridor of houses, and all of them are on the same line, and they have open decks here, as you can see, and all decks in our line is the same level and on the same elevation. But as I showed you before here, this deck is approximately 5 meters in front of us, and it is approximately 1.5 meters higher than the other deck in the corridor. Now, we heard that the 12 and I believe the 6, these two homes, they supported the construction of that sunroof. but we believe that the majority of houses affected from this construction is these houses because as you can see their view is here. So the
Thank you very
um,
much, brother. Thank you very
yeah.
much.
And
Any
in
questions?
conclusion,
Oh, yeah, that's the end of your time. Sorry. Do you have, are there any questions from the committee?
No, I got it.
No, no.
Okay. Okay, Cooper. Now you have an opportunity to respond to anything else that's said in the in this hearing. You can respond to it without new information, but so please stay on the line and you will have an opportunity to come back. Okay.
thank you.
Anybody else in support of the appeal?
Okay, also in support of the appeal, we have Vadi Gersroy. Vadi, joining us over Zoom, just gonna ask you to unmute and start your video, and you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation.
Vahdi, it is your turn.
Hello.
Hi, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Sure. Also, my wife told everything. I can add just maybe some others. Let me look at my presentation just a second. Actually, I understand that homeowners may wish to enhance their properties, and the proposed sunroof at 19 Karşıyaka Bay would significantly impact the enjoyment, privacy, and value of our home at 15 Karşıyaka Bay. And it will obstruct our sight and lake view. This is very important for us because we bought that house to got a lake view. And also for sure, it is little bit also far away from the other houses for our privacy. A key feature of our property and introduce privacy concerns that affect our daily life for sure. And it also sets a precedent for permanent structural changes that could alter the character of our neighborhood. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Also, my wife told everything and discussed everything with you. I can say that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, here none. Thank you so much.
No.
Anybody else in support of the appeal?
So that concludes those who had registered in support of the appeal. Just looking to the gallery, is there anyone else here who would like to speak in support of this appeal? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to those in opposition. We have had the applicants registered to speak today in person. Rodrigo Bravo and Barry Lee, I have you both registered. Were you intending to share your time?
Yep.
Okay, I'll get you to come up to the front and you'll have up to 5 minutes to make your presentation.
Morning.
I'm from the Sunroof Company, okay, Canadian Factory Direct Sunroofs, okay? We sell about between 50 to 100 sunroofs a year in the city and.
Have a seat, have a seat.
Oh, and Cottage Country.
You can grab the next shirt if you like to.
In Cottage Country, I've never been to an appeal because I've never had any appeals. We did some drone shots of the properties. The big pass it around, and his yard and everybody else's yard. We obviously got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people to either oppose it or not oppose it, and one of them opposes it. His property was under variance from the start. It was where they built the deck. It was on a variance already, and it's not his fault that the deck was built like that, or restricting any kind of view for them. We promote all glass sunroof, and there's no lines across where that's going to restrict any structures or views or Barry here can tell you the rest of it of this property.
Yeah, those documents, I took a drone shot, like kind of estimate the angle, what they are seeing. The yellow square show what is going to be wrong, and air shot from apply, see what is the extended will to be brought also between those two yellow line. It's no link will, it's appointing a future townhomes or medium family building across the school, which
And
is what it is.
And if I can add one thing, it's not gonna depreciate the value of the any kind of area. I've already met with another 6 people in that area for sunrooms. The sunrooms, I mean, range from $25,000 to $50,000. So it's not like we're putting up just a Costco unit. It's all custom made, aluminum, glass, single pane glass, laminated glass for security purposes. If anybody throws a rock at it, it's not gonna shatter out, it's gonna stay in its form. So we do things the right way.
Anything to add?
That's it.
Yeah. I just think it's not gonna devalue the property, any of those properties. It's gonna enhance actually the look of those properties.
And then they have to put a variance sign up. Where does the variance sign go?
I don't mind.
In front, I put it in front of the yard, I put it for 10 days, the first one, and then the city came and put a different one for the hearing part. Yeah, and they were the only ones that opposed these folks.
Any other questions?
Yeah. I no, I just think that it was already a variance. The house is already under a variance. Because where the deck was built, we only have 18 feet to the property line, so I think that he was hindered from day one as for building and stuff, so.
Because the deck, we will go with the architecture guideline of the area, the deck is also very supported by the city because of kind of a walk out lot or like open view back to the trail stuff, so that they got a variant already. So we are doing on the existing very supported by the city.
We're not going away or across from the deck. It's right on the structure of the deck. That's what we're building the sunroom.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes those who had registered in opposition to the appeal. Just to confirm, is there anyone in the gallery to speak in opposition to the appeal? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak for information on the appeal? Seeing none, we can go to questions for the administration.
Any questions for the administration?
I don't have any questions. I guess you don't know if there was a variance for the deck prior.
Was a variance in 2022 to allow the construction of the deck with a 17.4-foot rear yard setback.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thank you very much. We can now call back the appellant.
Correct? Kubra, I'm just going to ask you to unmute and turn on your camera. You'll have up to 5 minutes to speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted.
Okay, just what can I say is that even though it is glass, we believe that when you feel inside with furniture, everything, so it will somehow block. So yeah, I am aware that it will be a glass, but it will at the end, even though when I sit at my deck, actually, before I know that there will be a construction of sunroof, I wasn't happy personally, and it affected psychologically me because all the houses in one line, and this house is 5 meters in front of it, and when you watch the sunset, it is just a block, even without a sunroof for me. So actually, I respectfully ask the city to deny this proposal or request modifications to design, such as limiting its height or considering alternatives that would allow my neighbors to enjoy their space without harming ours. Thank you for your time and for considering the broader impacts this project may have on the surrounding community. Actually, that's all from me.
Any further questions? Nope, hear none. Okay, thank you very much. Okay,
I can make a motion.
please.
Okay, so I'm going to support the variance. So I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read,
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried.
that the receipt of public representations be concluded,
All those in favor? Opposed, carried.
that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan. Does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway. Is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated? I'll put my supporting reasons. This is a glass enclosure. It's a glass enclosure. There are many enclosures in the neighborhoods of this development and surrounding developments that have glass enclosures. And the support for a glass enclosure allows more ability to experience the outside or to experience different seasons sooner. Well, as for the property value, often they increase the property value. So I'm not concerned about the neighborhood here. It's a very high demand neighborhood. So those are my supporting reasons.
Yeah, just to add, I'm supporting Councillor Lukes. Sure, I understand some of the issues regarding privacy concerns. They are, I'd say, minor, but more importantly, I don't see any safety concerns with this. It's not blocking the front street or those sight lines. So I'll be supporting Councillor Lukes.
I too will be supporting Councillor Luke's motion. With the cost of housing as what it is now, it's becoming harder and harder for Winnipeggers to own a cottage. Gary Dewar used to go around bragging how Manitoba had the highest rate of second home ownership. The reality is nowadays having a home period is becoming out of reach for so many young people. I know for my wife and I, our happy place literally is our cottage, is our sunroom. When we can move into the sunroom in the spring, it is a very happy day. So again, I wouldn't be surprised to see more of these pop up on the street, and I think I am supportive.
Okay, so just wait here.
So all those in favor? Opposed, carried.
Okay. That the appeal be allowed and the decision of the director.
No, sorry, denied.
Denied, that the appeal be denied and the decision of the director of the property planning and development be
Concurred.
concurred in.
Okay, understood. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'd like to move that the variance order DAV 13-1278-2025B be confirmed.
Favor? Opposed, carried.
And I'd like to move that the public hearing with respect to this appeal be concluded.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee has made a final decision on this matter, which is not subject to further appeal.
Great. We are now moving on to number 2, which is a conditional use at 147 Spence Street. That's a combined, I guess, with number 3, which is a variance 147.
Correct. Item 2 is an appeal against the decision of the Director of Planning, Property and Development to approve a conditional use for 147 Spence Street under file BCU 134259A/2025C. In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, this is a combined hearing, and the following item will be heard at the same time. Namely, item 3 is an appeal against the decision of the Director of Planning, Property and Development to approve a variance for 147 Spence Street under file DAV 134264A/2025C. All participants have been muted and will only be permitted to speak when called upon. Once you've been heard, you can either remain in the Zoom meeting or leave and continue to watch live via the city's YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I will note as well that we have received a submission in support of the appeal that has been distributed to all members of the committee. At this time, I'll turn it over to the administration for a brief introduction.
Thanks. The subject property is located on the east side of Spence Street between Broadway and Balmoral Street. It's one lot south of Broadway in the West Broadway neighborhood of the Fort Rouge, East Fort Garry ward. The applicant is proposing a mixed-use residential and commercial building and requires variances for yard setbacks, permitted projection, parking, and buffering requirements of the zoning bylaw. In addition, a conditional use application was required for the approval of a care home use and an accessory social service facility use. The subject site is zoned RMFL, where a subdivision and rezoning application was approved in 2022 for a residential multifamily development. The applicant has since changed hands, though the current proposal remains similar in scale and built form, but with a different building program. The site is currently vacant after a demolition in 2022, and the lot area is 11,892 square feet with access via a concrete rear public lane. The surrounding land uses include commercial and mixed uses, as well as low, medium, and higher density multifamily uses. Under Complete Communities Direction Strategy 2.0, the site is within the Mature Communities Policy Area. The variance applications include variances for a reduced front yard building alignment, reduced side yard and rear yard setbacks, increased permitted projection, insufficient parking spaces, parking off a lane, and no buffering of parking. All of these variances were approved by the Urban Planning and Design Division. The conditional use is for a care home and accessory social service facility. We approved conditional uses for the following reasons. The care home use and the accessory social service facility use are compatible with the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and the adjacent area. These types of uses are not uncommon in the neighborhood. The proposed uses are also located in a pedestrian, active transportation, and transit-friendly neighborhood. As well, the site design and buildings design have a high standard of urban design that reinforces the public realm and is contextually appropriate to accommodate the proposed uses. And the proposed uses provide socially equitable, good health and well-being supports to those in greatest need. Overall, we supported the proposal for the following reasons. The applications are both consistent with policies in our Winnipeg 2045 and Complete Communities 2.0. The site design and building design elements align with the surrounding context and help reduce any potential negative impacts on the adjoining properties in the adjacent area. And then the proposed development provides supportive housing and services that fit the scale, built form, density, and uses on Spence Street in the West Broadway neighborhood and within the Fort Rouge, East Fort Garry ward. That concludes my summary. Happy to answer any questions.
So just to clarify, one of your comments, this property is already was or is zoned RMF?
Yeah, it's already zoned RMFL.
L? Oh, L.
RMFL, yes.
Oh, yeah, wow,
In 2022.
that's a lot. Okay, that's good to know. Can you explain to me a bit, you say it fits the context of the neighborhood. I looked at pictures and stuff like that. But maybe explain to me the side yards. How does that, is that because of the RMFL or because of the RMU? Like, 6 feet or 5.75 and 4.5. They're about, let's say, less than half of what's supposed to, if it's supposed to be 12 feet, well, then you would have no property everywhere left. So was the RMF also had this kind of variances when it's attached to it?
Yeah, part of the support for the side yards, even the rear yard, is that like the RMFL zoning district, it does allow like medium to high density residential.
Yeah.
So the RMFL dimensional standards are more or less proportionate to like the building height. In this case, it's 3 stories. And then the side yard and rear yard, that 12 feet ends up, the 12 and 25 feet for rear yard ends up being onerous, as you mentioned, for the site and constraint. So the yard setbacks are pretty much in line with the lots on the block, for example, on Spence Street, as well as similar mass to a few buildings on the street and adjacent nearby. And then the side yard is actually pretty typical for interior corner lots. There's a side rear lane or side lane as
Oh,
well.
that's fine, okay.
On that side of the north side yard.
Okay, and then the reason it's it's a 3-story mixed-use building. Are we going to RMU? Is that what? they're
Oh,
going
no,
for?
sorry, no rezoning. It's remaining RMFL.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just RMFL, okay. And that's why we're here today. So with the new Housing Accelerator Fund, council approved, because it's an RMFL, it wouldn't be in that genre because that's only residential.
Yeah, this one's mixed use, so yeah, there's.
But it's not really
density
mixed.
bonus.
But we're not doing, it's mixed, I'm curious, you say it's mixed use, which I got you saying that,
Yeah,
but then why is the designation RMF rather than RMU? Where it's either commercial mixed use or residential mixed use. That's a designation, not RMF
yeah, the uses are permitted, other than
on
the
there.
care home use and the social
And that's
service
on
facility, ground floor. Yeah.
Okay. Have you had any conversations with the area councillor on this one?
Not myself,
No,
but I'm aware, I believe the applicant.
Yeah.
Has, yes.
just wondering. All right, that's good enough for me now. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of the administration? Okay, we will call forward the appellant, then, please.
So we did have our appellant registered to speak today, Nicholas Mercury. Nicholas, you can just come up to the front. You'll have up to 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Nicholas Mercury. My house, which I've lived in for over 50 years, is located at 586 Broadway. The proposed development is directly across my back lane, and I'm the neighbor that will be the most impacted by the proposed development. I am here today to ask you to uphold by appeal and modify and/or deny this conditional use because it does not meet the legal criteria for approval under section 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter. I would like to begin by stating that I am strongly in favor of supportive social housing. More social housing is needed in my neighborhood, and existing social housing has a proven track record of success here. I am also in favor of the concept of this development. My understanding is that it will be a care facility helping those in my community who are motivated and brave enough to begin what can be a difficult path to recovery. The last time that the property came up for rezoning and approval for what I believe was an 18-unit complex, I attended the meeting and supported the proposals. What I am not in favor of is a mixed-use commercial residential complex with 50 care beds, staffed by 20 during the day and 8 at night, being placed on what is a purely residential P3 street. Spence Street is not a commercial street. I would like to ask, would you ever approve a 50-bed mixed-use commercial residential space structure on Burbank, or perhaps Brahms Bay, or even Landry Street in St. Norbert? They are P3 streets. I would imagine not. 50-bed mixed-use commercial structures are better suited for P1 streets, such as Broadway, Maryland, or Portage Avenue, or possibly P2 feeder streets. So why was approval given for this on Spence Street? In the conditional use papers, page 11, under the reasons for decision, it says, in the context of section 2473, the Urban Planning and Design Division approves the application for the following reasons. And I will go to section D. Is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. And the decision is, in that the proposed care home use and accessory social service facility use provides supportive housing that fits the scale, build form, density, and uses on Spence Street in the West Broadway neighborhood. There is no other 50-bed care mixed-use commercial structure on Spence Street that I'm aware of, or even anywhere in the neighborhood, which speaks to the compatibility of this proposal on this specific street. Spence Street is a P3 local residential street. When the notices first went up, I called both the planner and the architect and left messages. They never returned my calls. I have a number of outstanding questions that I would like to have answered, and I would like to give these questions to the clerk, and I hope that the developer would address them during their presentation.
We need to say that. Sir, I think it'd be wise if you have concerns, that's nice and all, but they're not gonna be able to hear that. So if you have specific things you'd like them to address, this would be your time to say that.
Okay, may I have that?
Yeah.
Please. For the record, I just wanted it submitted.
Yeah, no, we'll submit it back after. No problem.
Okay, thank you. My questions are, the proposal has an accessory social service facility on the main floor. That is extremely vague. It could be anything, including a needle exchange or other related use with a lot of traffic. Please specify the exact proposed use of this. My second question is, what social services will you be providing? And will these be provided to the local community or only to the residents? My third question, and a big concern, is parking. There will be 20 staff and 8 residential units, yet only 6 non-handicapped parking spaces are approved. Who are these people supposed to park? On the street, exacerbating what is an already difficult parking access problem. So therefore, I believe that the facts are that this proposal, as currently submitted, is not compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated, and therefore fails to meet the statutory criteria as set out in the City of Winnipeg Charter, section 247(3), subsection D, which is, it is not compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. I'm very supportive of having social housing, but 50 is just too many. I would support the submission of a more realistic proposal that we can all agree on. 50 is too many, but more than 16 is fine with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any questions of the appellant?
Oh, very well done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I didn't have anyone else register in support of the appeal. Just confirming with the gallery, is there anyone here who's looking to speak in support of the appeal? Seeing none, we can call forward the applicant. Damien Venez, if you'd like to come forward, you'll have up to 10 minutes or 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Can I get my colleague to join me? Is that acceptable, or should we go one at a time?
Has your colleague registered to speak? Okay, you can certainly share your time or present individually.
Okay, well then, I have a presentation.
Okay, has that been submitted previously?
Okay,
No, yeah, I will need a copy of that.
That's fine.
You can pass them. Just not the speaker, which is okay.
I'm just gonna take a copy for myself as well.
But I think administration, yeah. That's one square.
Can I just get something to drink? I haven't.
Okay, we are briefly now in recess. Councilor Lusage grabbing some water, so we'll be 60-second recess here. Holly, be ready to turn it back on by the time you turn it off, Holly.
Go.
We can stay live, actually, Holly. We're just. Calling back to order the June 18th, 2025 appeal committee. We are now going to the original applicant. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Damien Finney. I'm from Prairie Architects, representing my client for this property. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak today. I've got a 8-slide presentation to walk you through. It's going to give you a bit of context about the neighborhood as well as our development. So to start off with, this slide that you see here is showing the current state of the site. It's currently vacant. It's a property that's directly south of Broadway, so it's just behind the commercial residences, commercial buildings rather, on Broadway. My understanding on this property was that there was 2 residences originally on the property. They've since been burnt down, and the owner acquired the property after those buildings were demolished, and we've begun working after that time as well. So just general context of the neighborhood. So the site is indicated here in white. As I noted, we're directly to the south of the back lane along the commercial strip of Broadway. There's a laneway that's on the north side as well on the east side of our property, and we're abutting directly on Spence. So you can see there's 3 typologies of buildings in the neighborhood that sort of define this West Broadway neighborhood. Essentially, this is a mature community just on the edge of the downtown. So what you see in blue are 2.5-story residences throughout the street along Broadway. So along Spence. Along Broadway, there's a number of commercial properties. And then shown in purple are 2.5-story to 4-story apartment blocks. Typically, those apartment blocks are concrete, flat roof, masonry with a flat roof. Along Spence, I'll just note that there is also an apartment block that's 2 residences to the southwest of our property. That is also 3.5 stories. The image that you see above is a standard. It's a street view that's been taken a year or 2 back. So you can see sort of ghosted the 2 original residences that are on the property. So 147 Spence is a 2.5-story residential building. And 145 Spence, the building on the right, is a 3-story multi-residential unit. As you can see, the setbacks between the properties are roughly around 3 to 5 feet. So what you'll see in the next slides is a development that we're proposing that's consistent with what was originally developed on this property. To the left of our site, across the lane, is the Wasabi Bistro. And then further to that is the Broadway Street, which you can see on the left-hand side. The image on the bottom is the residential neighborhood directly to the west of our development. And the building on the left is the 3.5-story apartment block. That's masonry clad, flat roof apartment block. So there is that precedent set on this street. Now, to give you a bit of a context on the neighborhood, this is a vignette of a lot of the properties around this site. So what you see is these large footprint 2.5-story buildings that fill up the majority of their site, have limited yards, and they're quite tall. They're typically clad in a siding or a stucco. They're white, beige colored. You have apartment blocks that are 2.5 stories to 3, almost 4 stories. Typically, they're clad in light colored neutral brick with limited accents. So we're informing, I guess, our design from these precedents that are in the neighborhood. So the image that I'm showing you here is the view of the proposed development directly off of Spence Street. So what we've attempted to do was to break the building massing to reflect the scale of the neighborhood. So you can see that there's 3 distinct forms on this elevation. The one on the right is a 2-story height, so it relates better to the residential property directly to the south of us. And then the one on the left is a 3-story height, which sort of transitions up to the Broadway commercial district. The building's clad in masonry. As you can see on the right-hand side, it's a 2-story masonry block. There's a little bit of a leaf motif that's shown on the elevation. On the left-hand side, you have it as a base, and above that is a siding in board and batten with the blue accent color. The middle of the building is the central entrance, which is on the other side of a fenced property. So I guess a little bit further to that, what you see here is the stepping of the building. So the blue portion is recessed back from the green and the beige to really further emphasize. So it's not just a surface treatment. The actual building is pulled in to give emphasis on those blocks. How am I doing with my time? Okay,
Okay, we'll
request an extension.
request this for an extension, 1 minute.
I've got about 3 more slides, so.
Okay.
Go fast.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So
I'll
this,
savor post carry, sorry.
so these views here that you see on the left-hand side is a view from the corner of the laneway and Spence. So you're looking at the north side of the elevation. Just showing this to demonstrate that the building elevation finishes are consistent, not just on the front. It's a high quality materials that are wrapping around the sides of the building. So we're treating the laneway as well as the backside of the building equally. So it's a nice move for the neighborhood. And the image on the right is that same corner. It's a little bit of a close-up on the property. So what you see is a fenced enclosure. The landscaping is a rock mulch on the north side. Across the entrance sidewalk would be a sod. You have 5 mature trees that would be planted in this area. You have the central entrance, which is a concrete sidewalk with a few steps and a raised walkway into that main entrance, as well as bike parking and landscaping adjacent directly to the building.
Thank you so much. Any questions of the applicant?
You're presenting mostly on built form, is that what you're doing?
That's right.
Okay, so nothing for that.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, can we ask him a question on parking?
Sure, go for it.
Sure. So what's the deal on parking?
Thank you for asking. So on this slide here, the what I intended to mention was this is an overall site view of the property. So at the backside of the property, we have 8 stalls. It's noted a variance for 7. Since that time, Manitoba Hydro has indicated that the transformer that we had anticipated at the back lane would be required in the front. So in that rendering that I just showed previously was a green box, that's a transformer. So we've allowed 8 stalls now. So we have 6 stalls for the users, 1 for visitors and 1 accessible stall. In that back lane, there's also in-ground garbage as well as the recycling. And then a direct path via concrete sidewalking to the front door. So you can see that on the property running on the north side parallel to the lane, wraps around to the front entrance. So we have limited parking. This is partly maybe outside of my the programming discussion, but it reflects the intended use of the building. It meets and satisfies that requirement.
Sure. Have her come up. She's going to speak to it further.
Sure, yes.
She's up next.
Oh, she's up next.
Yeah,
Okay.
she is.
Do you want me to stay present or?
No.
No questions on this presentation?
Okay,
Should I leave it up or take it down?
up to your next presenter, or up to the next presenter.
Use it? Okay. Okay. Also in opposition to the appeal is Sala Mitchell.
Oh, maybe I'll just go over the presentation and then address the parking.
Good morning.
So, hey, my name's Stella Mitchell. So I'm the Senior Pre-Development Manager at the University of Winnipeg Community Renewal Corporation. We're the developer for this project. We've spent years carefully selecting this location to balance the need for accessibility, privacy, and security for the residents. The project will transform a currently vacant lot into a 3-story building for community housing that will have 24/7 staff, operated by a local nonprofit. The ground floor will include staff offices. So there was a question about the commercial. That's all that is. It's office spaces. While the 2nd and 3rd floor offers places for the residents to stay. This housing project is not only needed for the community, it's already fully funded. So it's received strong support across all 3 levels of government, with 11.3 million from CMHC, 2.5 million from the province of Manitoba, who in addition to funding the project also purchased the land. And the project has also received funding through the city's HRIR program. In addition, 3 million has been raised through the private sector.
So achieving these milestones are a clear sign of its importance and broad-based support. In planning this development, we engaged directly with community representatives who reflect a wide range of voices for the West Broadway neighborhood and the housing sector. We received many letters of support from local organizations, all recognizing how this project aligns with community priorities. Community housing, when designed and managed with care, as this project has been, has a proven track record of improving neighborhood stability and safety. Across Canada, research confirms that well-run facilities like this do not negatively impact surrounding property values or safety. Instead, they offer a pathway to improved quality of life for residents and are a benefit to the surrounding community. According to a 2019 BC Housing Report of 13 community housing sites, the study found that property values immediately surrounding 10 of these sites either kept pace with or surpassed municipal property value trends. The remaining 3 sites showed no notable difference compared to municipal property value trends. So the building is designed to be calm, quiet, and residential, with traffic and noise levels consistent with any other multifamily building in the area or quieter. This has been the case with similar community housing developments in the city. The facility will have 24/7 on-site staffing, controlled building access, monitored entrances, and on-site security features such as cameras, lighting, and limited visitor access. Pedestrian and vehicle traffic will be minimal because most residents will not own their own vehicles and they're not permitted. Staff will be encouraged to use active or public transportation. We anticipate minimal impact on local traffic or parking. This fully funded development has been thoughtfully designed in response to community housing needs. And that's all I have for my presentation. So I just wanted to respond to some of the concerns here. So just the concern that there's 50 beds. Previously, it was approved for 18 units. So if you had even 2 people in every unit, that's already almost 40 beds, right? So it's really not that much of a difference. And that's only if there was 2 people per unit. So I don't think we're really increasing the density by very much. I have spoken to the person who's appealing today, and I've gone over their concerns, and they did let me know that their concerns were alleviated. So just to clarify that we did actually speak to them. So in terms of parking, like I said, yeah, residents won't have vehicles, so that won't be an issue for the 50 beds. And then staff are encouraged to take public transit, and there are the 8 stalls in the back.
Questions, Councillor Lutz?
Yeah, what is the estimated number of staff that will be employed at the facility?
From what the not-for-profit told me, I think it'll be around 20 during the day. So pretty significant, yeah. But that will be, I mean, for residents, I would think that would give them some comfort because that means that all the residents are very well managed.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe actually, you know what, I'll throw one out there. The report shows that the property is owned by Manitoba Housing, which is an arm of the provincial government.
Yeah.
My understanding is they don't require, like, they can go around city zoning and bylaws and stuff if they wish. Was that not considered here?
They do own the property, yeah, so I guess it is an option.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes those we had registered in opposition to the appeal. Just to confirm, is there anyone else looking to speak in opposition to the appeal? Seeing none, we can move to those registered for information. Robert Shaw, if you'd like to come forward, you'll have up to 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
I noticed you switched out your chair. These are not comfortable.
Not if you sit all day.
It's all good. Do I provide a copy? Or is that a thing? Yeah. No, okay. Morning. I'll try and time manage.
Sounds good. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning and welcome. Thanks for letting me an opportunity to speak. My name is Rob Shaw. I'm a longtime resident on Spence Street, almost 30 years in my house right now, 45 in the community. I'm here really seeking some additional information. First, I would like to comment on the lack of, for us as residents, the lack of collaborative planning and consultation. The applicant is mentioned engaged only with the public service while absolutely no planning or consultation was otherwise done with the directly impacted public. As a result, the applicant was unable to provide any signatures or letters of support with their application. Sure, it's not required, but it's generally seen as a goodwill gesture to actively involve and inform residents near to a proposed development. Many of us on this block of Spence Street, South Broadway, have purposely chosen to live in a walkable mixed-use neighborhood and on a street with a range of housing. Letters of support or additional insight may have resulted had the developer made any effort at consultation. The absence of any engagement is troubling and suggests a perhaps unwarranted concern about opposition to the proposed development. More concerning is how it reveals a complete lack of knowledge or interest about the street or neighborhood by the developer. That attitude might explain why both the lot and the boulevard of this proposed development is currently overgrown with unsightly weeds and opportunistic growth. It's not encouraging to see how neglected the site has become, and it does not make me feel especially optimistic about how the property will be maintained, both in the care of its residents and the exterior maintenance of the grounds. Please do better. Lastly, the proposal is to construct a 3-story commercial and residential mixed-use building. This has been mentioned a number of times. The principal care home use will be on the 2nd floor with a total of 50 beds with 19 bedrooms. That suggests 3 people sharing a single bedroom and that general pattern repeated in 18 other suites. We recognize as residents of West Broadway the important need for safe and supportive housing for individuals fleeing domestic abuse, but question the scale of this undertaking and whether Willow Place will be effectively managed. In particular, we expect a continual turnover of clients rather than an opportunity for stable, long-term housing, which is the vision for our neighborhood and for West Broadway, and I think for the city. So 2 questions. First one, are shared bedrooms based on familial relationships, a shared need for support by unrelated individuals, or both? And second question, what is Willow Place's specific experience with regard to the average duration of clients' residency? I provided some photos and description for your interest about some of the recent history of the site, which may explain some of my skepticism about the new undertaking. And thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Lukes.
Maybe it's more of a did you know? So Manitoba Housing owns the property.
They do.
I have lots of dealings with Manitoba Housing because they did a big development in my area. And I would suggest that you call them and tell them to clean it up. And the city needs to do that too.
It's not been addressed.
Right. And then so call your MLA then.
Done that also.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the photograph that was brought up, and the display was very groomed, but literally it's a field, which we would love a park in the neighborhood. That's always nice to have a green space.
We all work.
Okay.
But it doesn't bode well for the attention to the maintenance of the property already. And as I mentioned, the lack of consultation or any input from the immediately affected residents is discouraging.
Yeah, I'll ask about that, I guess. I mean, I would have assumed there would have been consultation of some types. And then we'll ask about the shared bedrooms and such.
Sure, yeah. As it was mentioned as well, there was a fire which ended up demolishing the 2 existing properties. Numerous phone calls were made to address the buildings not being secured. It was obvious to everyone that it would eventually burn down, which they did, leaving an empty lot. So unfortunately, it's got a legacy of neglect. So it's hopeful this will be done right. Certainly the renderings look interesting, but as it was mentioned by the immediately adjacent neighbor, that's a lot of people in not a very big building.
And did Manitoba Housing own the properties before, or they were different? They probably were privately owned.
The 2 dwellings that were there?
They were separately owned properties.
No, it was actually a guy who lived in one of them. And he moved out to New Brunswick, living with his family there now, and was sold to, should I say who it was sold to?
No, that's okay.
Okay, anyway, to a different owner who wasn't great. And that led to actually the tenants all being evicted with the expectation there would be a new building in the footprint, which didn't happen. And I think that was a partnership with University of Winnipeg also. But for rented suites.
Preventing.
And tenancy is a big thing.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Thank you very much.
Can I mention one other thing if that's possible? Again, I appreciated the rendering and the presentation, but I noted it was apparent as someone who's lived in the neighborhood for a long time that primarily the capture of the buildings in the neighborhood were along Broadway or along commercial streets rather than the residential street of Spence. So that was telling to me that it maybe wasn't well or accurately presented.
Okay.
Any questions or concerns or?
No.
Yeah. Do I leave this behind too or?
We've got copies. You've got
Okay,
those.
okay. Anyway, thanks so much.
Okay, that concludes those registered for information. Just to confirm, is there anyone else looking to speak for information? So this time we can have questions for the administration. I will just note at this time when we are discussing the variance, if the committee is intending to deny the appeal and support the application, there would be a minor amendment needed just to provide clarity into what two of the variances are for. Specifically, the language is just going to be to add the words "to a rooftop deck" to 1B and 1F.
And on that note, we also be amending it. I think they all moved it to 8 parking spots. I think we heard that from the 7.
That would be up to the will of the committee. This is very much just kind of a clarifying amendment. That wouldn't actually substantially change what's being done. It would provide clarification in the order.
Okay, but the developer clarified that they are doing 8 spots, not 7. Transformer.
On that issue, they did apply for 7. They've indicated now that they can add 8 because of the transformer. So you could choose to uphold the original or approve the variance as modified for 8 instead of 14.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the public service?
Public service time?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So then the parking allowed for use, this conditional use, it meets the parking. That's.
Well, it doesn't meet the parking. They needed,
This is the variance.
yeah, for the parking, they required 14 total spaces.
Right.
And they're providing the 7 at
Seven.
this time, but
Okay.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure.
So we have a 50 unit building.
it's a 60 dwelling unit, 50 bed care home.
It's what?
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
that's where I'm
I'll
mixed up.
clarify. There's 50 beds in 19 small bedrooms. That's the care home use. And then in terms of the multifamily, there's 6 dwelling units.
So it's, you said 19 and 6, 25 theoretical units?
We classify as 6 dwelling units, like the care home beds.
Total 6 dwelling units, both sides. I'm just trying to figure out how we came up with 14.
Yeah, sorry, I'll break that down. So because they're also providing affordable housing, there's a 7.15 parking spaces per unit. So, and then on top of the uses, there's 1 guest parking that's required per 10 residents or care beds in this case. So also there's 1 space that's needed for every 3 employees on the maximum shift. So the developer requires 5 for the residents and 8 for the employees.
Okay, I got it now. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And then I think to Mr. Shaw's question, but I think it sort of is self-explanatory. The shared bedrooms, they're probably not familial relationships because there's 50 with 3 in each room.
Based on the letter of intent, it would be mixed households. So yes, each bedroom, each of the 19 bedrooms, for example, could certainly have a family in there.
It could, and then it could also
Or not.
or not.
Exactly.
Right, okay, got it. Okay, so it could be or not. Okay. And then, I mean, the duration, I don't know, you wouldn't know that,
I
stays, is that,
Don't recall that information,
right,
hopefully.
right, okay. Okay, I don't have any more questions.
Thank you very much. We can now call back the appellant.
Yep, we can call for the appellant, Nicholas Mercury. If you'd like to come up, you'll have 5 minutes to speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that as mentioned by the previous presenter, the majority of the structures shown in Mr. Ferez's presentation and described as precedents were all located on Broadway, which is a P1 street, and which I would agree would be very well suited for this proposal. The structure, however, is not located on Broadway. It's located on Spence Street, which is a purely residential P3 street. In Ms. Sala's presentation, she mentioned that the previous approval was for a density of 36 people, and the proposed would not be that much more. According to my calculations, 50 beds plus 20 staff plus 6 units, and assuming 2 people per unit equals 82 people. That is more than double the 36, and in my opinion, it's just too much to have on a quiet residential P3 street. Again, I support the concept of this, but 50 beds plus all that staff plus the units on the 3rd floor is just too many. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Oh, I would like to add, sorry,
Yeah.
that I would hope that my appeal might be upheld, and that we could be able to negotiate just something that we could all live with and would be more appropriate. Thank you.
At this time, we can move on to motions.
This one, first is the conditional use
Right.
for care home and for the social service facility. So the conditional use, I report the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The received public representation be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
In accordance with subsection 254 and subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the following use is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and the applicable secondary plan, does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property adjacent area in the area separated from the property by a street or waterway, and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. We know that care homes are required. We have a real problem in Winnipeg right now with our aging population. We do not have enough spaces for people, especially in support of care homes. And the social services facility is also quite needed as well.
Okay, motion's been heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Moving on now to the variance.
There's a few more left.
Oh, I got, sorry, I gotta close this thing.
That the appeal be denied.
Yeah, but the appeal,
The decision of the director.
Director Planning Property Development, be concurred.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
By conditional use order DCU 134259/2025C be confirmed.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The public hearings respect its appeal be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee has made a final decision on this matter, which is not subject to further appeal.
Okay, on to the variance.
Okay, moving on to the variance. Where are you? There we are. That in accordance with subsection 2, the report of Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The receipt of public representations be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
That in accordance with subsection 2473, the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance Now, again, I'm gonna be adding that parking.
Yep, that's
Starting now.
is
In the later, is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and applicable secondary plan. B does not create a substantial adverse effect on amenities, use, safety, convenience of the adjoining property, the adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway, is a minimum modification. The zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. I definitely have, I am a little disheartened to hear that there wasn't proper consultation. It always is advisable, especially when something like this goes forward. I know there's some extenuating circumstances why that was maybe a little more difficult, but I think it should have been attempted. So that was unfortunate. The signs were up. We have one person today in opposition. So, you know, the signs were up. Usually you'll get a few more. So that does bear into my decision. The parking, which is the more glaring issue, was explained properly by the department regarding the affordable housing numbers. There will be some, let's be honest, there'll be some impact on-street parking. Not everybody's gonna take the bus or ride their bikes there. There will be some impact. The place is, it's already quite busy, parking wise. So I do respect that, but again, with our bylaws, we will be moving to 8 spots. But the people that be using the building generally are not gonna be driving a lot, if have cars at all. It'll be more the visitors and some of the staff will be the issue, but again, it's within that context, the parking variance is reasonable. Regarding the issues about supporting the maintenance of the building, as the Manitoba Housing seems to, I actually was at this property recently and it is in rough shape. So unfortunately, Manitoba Housing hasn't done their part by maintaining the property for a while. But this development will alleviate that. And I believe the fact that there is so much support, staffing support, that will provide those, deal with the concern about maintaining the property properly. That will happen now with this. So moving forward, I think it's a good idea. And then the real big fact is that this was already generally approved through an RMF. The issue about reducing the number of beds, again, I hear what they're saying, but we just do units. People can have a family of 6 living in a 3-bedroom apartment. That happens. We don't really manage that too much, so I don't think they're that far off on this one. It will be a little bit more impact, but again, we're talking about people that generally won't be, let's say, very active around the neighborhood and maybe going for nice walks down the drive, down to the parks and stuff like that. But again, I think the clientele that they're looking at servicing, it won't have a far-reaching effect. It's not like a whole bunch of single families coming and going 16 times a day. So that impact will be a lot less. So for those reasons, that's where I'm at.
Okay. Motion's been heard. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
That the appeal be denied and the decision of,
If we're making amendments, it would be that the appeal be allowed
that the appeal be allowed.
and the decision of the
Director
director
of Planning and Property Development be
concurred in with the following
amendments, which is changing it to required 8 parking rather than 7.
According to 8 instead of 7, and would you be amenable to just adding the phrasing surrounding the rooftop decks?
Yes.
Okay,
Plus 1B and
1F.
That's okay. Okay, motion's been heard. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The variance DAV 134264/2025C be
Cancelled.
Order. Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The public hearings respect this appeal be concluded.
All's in favor? Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee has made a final decision on this matter, which is not subject to further appeal.
Which one do? Okay. That's next.
Item 4 is an appeal against the decision of the Director of Planning, Property and Development to approve a variance for 329 McIver Avenue under file DAV 127802A/2025C. Members of the committee, please note communications were received in support of and in opposition to the appeal, which have been distributed to all members. Don't have anyone on Zoom, so at this time I'll turn it over to the administration for a brief overview.
Good morning, councilors. The subject property is located at 329 McIver Avenue in the North Kildonan Ward. It's designated as recent communities within Complete Communities 2.0. The proposal is to create 10 R1L single-family large district lots with lot widths ranging from 50 feet instead of 67.6 feet, and lot areas ranging from 7,102 square feet to 7,221 square feet instead of 14,801 square feet. While the proposed lots meet the minimum lot area and lot width for R1L lots, the variances are required due to special boundary conditions, which requires newly created lots in recent communities to be the average of all abutting lots. There's a bit of history on this file, which I'd like to go through quickly. In the first iteration of this proposal back in 2000, a subdivision was approved to allow 15 lots on the subject property, with the property to the west being part of the subdivision.
15, you said?
15 lots, yeah. The subdivision was never proceeded with. Then in 2023, the owner of 329 McIver reapplied for a DAS, which is a subdivision with a public street, and variances to allow for a 10-lot subdivision. This proposal did not include the property to the west. The DAS and variances were initially rejected by the East Kildonan Transcona Community Committee. The DAS rejection was overturned by SPC and subsequently approved by council. However, the associated variances went to appeals committee and were rejected on a tie vote. So the result was approval of the subdivision, but rejection of the variances to allow the lots. So consequently, this application is the second attempt to secure variances to establish 10 lots on the site. The Public Service is recommending approval of the variances. So the subdivision application with the public road has already been approved, as I said. So now all we're dealing with is the variances. And while the proposed lots are smaller than abutting lots, there are many lots in the vicinity that are a similar size. For example, the lots on Ranch Road to the west and the lots across the street on McIver. For this reason, the division feels the proposed lots are compatible with the area. And that concludes the overview from the Public Service.
And what's the size of the smaller lots? The width?
The ones that are being created,
Yeah.
the smallest ones are 7,102, 7,102 square feet.
And how wide?
They're all 50 feet wide.
50 feet wide,
Yeah.
okay. They're all 50 feet wide, wow, okay. Right, 50 feet. And what was the reason for it being rejected, the first time this happened?
That's a good question. The main objection heard in the last round of the hearings was that the application should not go ahead because the adjacent property to the west should have been included in the subdivision.
That was the reason of the community committee?
Yes, it was suggested that the property to the west would be effectively landlocked if this proposal goes ahead. As you'll see, that property has a very large rear yard, and they were hoping that they could subdivide some lots off the back of their property.
Is it going to be landlocked then?
So from our perspective, a couple of points there. One is including the lots to the west, it could hypothetically yield a few additional lots, but this is subject to the landowners agreeing to work together. And this has not occurred. And the division feels the city is not in a position to force this to happen. Also, the property to the west, they do have other options for developing their property without needing 329 McIver if they choose to. So for example, under the new zoning changes, the half changes, they would qualify for up to 4 units subject to servicing, which could be accessed from their existing approach on McIver.
McIver.
Councilor Olico?
When I read through the report, there was also some concerns about land drainage. Is that still applicable now, or is that really based upon that one over there?
My understanding is that was all addressed as part of the DAS application and the servicing agreement. So that's not really germane to this. It's really just the variances now.
Okay.
Call forward the appellant.
So we didn't actually have the appellant registered to speak before the meeting. Just to confirm, is there anyone here to speak in support of this appeal? Seeing none, we can move on to those in opposition. I will call forward the applicant, Jackie Wilkie.
There's no one in support of the appeal and there's no letter or anything.
Right.
There was the initial communication from the appellants, but they have not submitted any registrations to speak since that time.
Okay.
Someone left a stick. Sorry, don't want to take it out because it's,
Bit of blow.
you know. You never know.
You never know. Crazy stuff. Yeah.
Do I need to share? Is there anyone?
Yes,
else?
please. It helps, sir.
Oh, all right. Make sure I get to the right spot, share. Yeah. Good morning. My name's Jackie Wilkie. I'm with McGowan Russell Group. We are representing the developers of this subdivision for this, for 329 McIver. For this appeal, we would like to rebut some of the information that was provided in the letter that came from Mr. Mr. Ram. I apologize for my voice. I've been having terrible coughing fits and now I am hoarse. In the letter from Mr. Ram and Mr. Pauls, there were a number of statements that were declaring that this is we are creating a landlocked situation. This is not a landlocked development. Their address is 321 McIver. So they have direct access off of McIver to do any development that they would like to do. We have in the letter, the first item that came up was in regards to engineering for the development and the concerns with the off-site improvements that would be needed to meet the sea value flows for the land drainage. The point was that we did not provide him with a engineering study. The engineers our engineers said that there was no point in doing it because there was no way to meet the C value that was proposed. So if they wanted to do it, they would need to get their own engineers to create their own land, which is standard practice for development. We do not provide engineering for someone else's development. The next point is about, again, the landlocked and the access to the rear yard, saying that he needs to go through this development to mow his back lawn. Access through someone else's property is called trespass if it is not provided legally or with as a request. So they would have to access through their own property to mow their backyard. The next is the solution for developing their property, where we have gone through a number of iterations on this project. The first was not the first plan was actually a multifamily development that we had proposed, and it was rejected through development or through consultation with the community. We did a door knock through the neighborhood, and they were very much not in favor of that. So we changed tact and went to what we would be able to develop with this. We did provide an option that the neighbor could purchase a piece of property for access to his lots, and he could divide into 4 lots with variances as well. He was not in favor of doing that. We've provided this as a written presentation, so I'm not going to read through all of them because it's a limited amount of time. This is in regard to the access to the back. He does have room beside his garage to access to mow. In regards to grading, we will have to meet all lot grade requirements. There's also a drainage easement on the property for the lands to the north that will be taken into account as is required legally. The variances, saying that we would be able to not have variances if we included his lands is also incorrect. It would only affect the 2 larger lots on the backside, which we are not asking for variances for. We're asking for variances for the 6 of the 10 lots that are at the front. And if we were to include that and change all of the boundaries, we would still need variances because we would be changing the widths and they would not meet the special boundary requirements. There's concerns about fire access. We cleared this with the fire department. We had a meeting on October 14th, 2024 with City of Winnipeg departments from Public Works, the fire department, and Councillor Bawadi graciously attended the meeting with us as well to hear directly what all the concerns were. And the plan that we have was approved. The plan also that would have given him a stub road access for, or an access road for him, and doing a hammerhead was also approved. That was not a requirement. Are the cul-de-sac right now, we're able to meet the C values for the drainage. And just going through the subdivision again, so we're looking for, we're doing 6 smaller lots up front. These are very similar to the land or to the lots that are beside it, but they face onto McIver as opposed to onto a side street. And then there are large lots at the back. There are 4 large lots at the back that meet or exceed the requirements for the special boundary condition, especially adjacent to the large lots on the backside, on the adjacent cul-de-sacs. And I have 5 seconds.
Extension of.
I'm good if you guys are, yeah, I'm ready
Well,
for
actually,
questions.
I'll give you a minute, and this is probably what we were gonna talk about, but sure, we'll give it a minute.
Favor opposed carried.
The only other comments that we have is that the intent is to ensure that we are making a subdivision that is viable and can be constructed as soon as possible. This will allow for development in this neighborhood, and as with the new bylaw, we would be able to increase the density on each of these lots as we go through.
Any questions? Councillor Arlico.
So are these properties, they're rezoning R1 or are they zoning?
We've done our rezoning to R1L, so we're single family large, as opposed to, I believe the existing was ag still when we did our first, because this used to be the mink farm. This used to be a mink farm way back when. So when we did the subdivision and rezoning, which we have received, we are in R1L, which would be a minimum of a 25-foot wide lot with 5,000 square, or sorry, it's more than 5,500, thank you, square feet.
Okay, I'll follow up the administration on that. Thank you.
And is there a road currently on the property?
There is not. This is part of the subdivision and rezoning work that we proposed, and we're going to do the cul-de-sac into the land.
Right, okay. All right, okay. I don't know why it's showing up that there's a road on our map. I do.
Oh.
Whatever.
Probably because it's been approved by the subdivision and rezoning. It just hasn't been built yet. So the right of way is there now.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Now, are you, this is what you're proposing? Even though
Yes.
you can go denser, this is what you're proposing?
We could go denser, but this is what we're proposing to meet, so that we only have variances on the front lots.
Right.
Not on the rear lots. Just so that we're able to fit into the community and where we are right now.
Sure. Okay.
Do you know if it's the intention to take advantage of the new permissions perhaps granted with have to build duplexes? Or I think 50 feet without a back lane, duplexes will be allowed?
Yeah, correct.
I think that would be dependent on what the lot sales, as it is a small subdivision, it'll probably be a custom home point of view. So once they go onto the market, there may be some who want to do a duplex on those lots, but there may be just large families that want to come in here.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Thank you, Jackie.
Great, thank you very much.
So that concludes those we had pre-registered to speak in opposition to the appeal. Just looking to the gallery, is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to the appeal? And is there anyone here to speak for information on the appeal? Seeing none, we can move to questions for the administration.
I guess my first question would be is, as part of the variance, can we make it subject to the applicant entering into a zoning agreement that would restrict the construction of duplexes?
Well, you can't do a zoning agreement because that zoning agreements can only be attached to rezoning applications. So you can do conditions on approvals of variances. I mean, that would be, you have the authority to do it. It'd be a pretty onerous condition because that zoning now applies to the entire city. So it would be singling out these properties and taking away entitlements that everybody else would have.
But that's not.
So
So to extend that, so it's, we have 50 and 60-foot lots.
I think there are, the ones that they've applied for variances on are 50 feet wide.
And then they have the 4 in the back of the 60-foot lots or 62.
Something like
So
that.
those could be fourplexes.
Anything over 61 feet could be a fourplex.
All the way down.
With the new rules.
Yes.
Yes,
They
correct.
can come back to do that. And then 50-foot lot without a back lane. I thought triplexes were okay on that. Up to 50, not 35 foot.
I could check that. It would take me a minute to check that. I'm not 100% sure. And the new rules.
Well, again, I think the point is made. They could be duplex, or maybe a triplex or fourplexes. It could be allowed, and council just approved all that, so that's the way it is. So I don't know, just trying to get some clarity, so because it'll be the first type of one where that's happened. Because my understanding is the developer, regardless, they have the right to do a fourplex, or if it meets. We're not doing single family zoning anymore. That's all over anywhere. Yeah, anywhere in the city. It's a good call, but okay. Well, last question is, when we are doing our changes to the zoning and stuff for the Housing Accelerator Fund, we did a lot of PDO changes. Why were, you may not know this, but again, special boundary restrictions seem to be also quite restrictive on allowing development. Have to be this. Are we planning to touch special boundaries in the update, or just curious why it was not addressed?
The single family rules weren't touched as part of the recent changes. It was only 2, 3s, and 4s. And then the earlier changes were only in mature communities. We didn't touch recent communities at all. So that's why special boundary conditions is still there. It's only for recent communities and only for single family. It's maybe speculation for me to say that it's going to be touched as part of the comprehensive zoning bylaw review, but it could be for sure be
something
being looked at.
Okay, I'm just curious on that. Thank you. No more questions for me.
And I do have the information on the triplexes, so it's 60 to 61 feet as well for with no back lane for triplexes.
So triplexes and fourplexes.
Yeah.
Okay. And with a back lane, be different, but they don't have back lane.
Or on a corner.
Or a corner. Oh, yeah, so then the ones on, I guess the ones on the corner could be something totally different. In the
it says here for triplex, it's 35 feet.
Corner
Sorry,
lot.
50 feet for a corner lot that does not abut a paved public lane at the rear of the lot and that is accessed by a side approach.
So they could, if those two lots could do that.
I don't think any of them are going to have a side approach because you can't have access from a Kyver.
No.
So they'll all be front approaches, which means 60, 61, 60 to 61.
Too far in the details of this,
Yeah.
but thank you very much. Right? I guess, then you show up, so we didn't have that.
There's no ballot, so if there's no further questions,
Motions. I mean, go for it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Why not? You have, why we share the wealth.
Want me to do it?
That went up.
Okay.
Let me vote.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to support the public services recommendations. That the report of the public service be taken as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
That the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All's in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan. Does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway. Is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property, and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. So supporting reasons, I think this is great infill. I don't know, I think it's great infill. It provides more housing. It's compatible with the neighborhood, and I support it.
I too will be supporting the motion today. Just, on the record, in the past, my concerns were I didn't think an honest effort was being made between the applicant and the neighbor in terms of fully developing the area to its potential. There had been, previous approvals prior to my time on council that had a bigger subdivision. And I also thought the public service kind of dropped the ball, as Councillor Orlico was mentioning, in regards to working productively to try and find a solution to the potential land drainage concerns that have later come up. The neighboring property, I don't think, did do enough in terms of trying to make this go forward to be part of the consolidated property now. So that's why at this time I am ready to accept today's variance and support Councilor Luke's motion.
Okay. So,
Yep.
okay.
Motion's made. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So I'll move that the appeal be,
Denied?
this is where I always get it, that the appeal be denied and the decision of the director of the Property Planning and Development Department be concurred in.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That variance order DAV 127-802-225C be confirmed
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
and that the public hearing with respect to this appeal be concluded.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Please note that the committee has made a final decision on this matter, which is not subject to further appeal.
Okay, on item number 5, I understand Councillor Lutz has already heard this matter. So,
I've heard this now then.
and to confirm with the clerk, this item can proceed with 2 members of the committee.
Correct.
Okay,
After 2-minute break.
after a 2-minute break. Yes, we'll probably take a quick pause. And we'll resume momentarily. I'd like to call the appeal meeting back to order. We're now dealing with report 5.
Item 5 is an appeal against the decision of the Assiniboia Community Committee to approve a variance for 202 Duffield Street under file DAV 101-327A/2025D. Members of the committee, please note communications were received in support of and in opposition to the appeal, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. At this time, I'll turn it over to the planner for a brief overview.
Thank you. The subject property is located on Duffield Street in the Deer Lodge neighborhood of the St. James Ward. The property was zoned R1L residential, single-family large district, and an application for subdivision and rezoning to RMFM residential multifamily medium district for the purpose of building a 9-unit residential building and widening the public lane was approved by council on May 22nd, 2025. The DASZ application is associated with a variance application to vary the lot area, yard setbacks, parking, and buffering requirements of the zoning bylaw. In terms of collaboration, the Urban Planning and Design Division has been in communication with the applicant about the proposal. The details of the proposed development were discussed, including additional refinement to the design. On April 28th, 2025, the Assiniboia Community Committee concurred in with the recommendations with the Urban Planning and Design Division and approved the variance items with conditions including substantial conformance, a light-proof fence between parking stalls and building, and a building height limit. The Urban Planning Division recommended approval of the variance application since the proposed development is consistent with the Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plans. It does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining properties and adjacent area. Is a minimum modification of the zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effects of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. This concludes my introduction.
Okay. Very much. Any questions of the public service at this point?
Yeah, I'm sorry, is this a lot split or this an RMF single? It looks like 25-foot lots, so, 25-foot, sorry, I got establishing residential zoning lot to permit a lot area. So it is an RMF. We're not talking lots, but I think I got mixed up at 25-foot. That's just for the front yard setback, not for the actual front yard size. Okay, so I answered. So it's an RMF building. And you said it was M? RMFM?
It was R1L. It was R1L.
Or R1L, and then it being previously approved at RMF M. Okay. Fair enough. And there's no variance for parking?
No.
None of that there, just you also have a front yard setback. And my question is, why is this one here of 25 feet rather than 30 feet? Isn't there give and take by the department has the authority to vary it 5 feet?
That's correct, but there is also a special front yard for this street.
Oh, is it
So-
one of those special front yard
Yeah.
setbacks? Those things are unique. Okay, I got the side yards fine. Got that. Parking space by the window, I got that. Okay, that's it for me, thank you.
We will then call forward the appellant.
Okay, we'll call forward our first appellant, Kelly Ryback. If you'd like to come forward, you'll have up to 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Okay, I'm putting in a PowerPoint.
Yep.
Where is it?
Start the problem, I can speak to it. It's just in the, it's in the report.
Here we go. Let's get you to share the screen on Zoom as well. Just
Yeah, no, I'll do that. Just want to bring up the presentation. So.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, I'm Kelly Ryback. I was respected 202 Duffield, just so the single residence was sold a year ago for $257,202. This block of Duffield Street is unique. Half is residential, which is on the west side, and on the half is medical and long-term care on the east side and beyond it within that campus. Across the street at 203 Duffield is a 3-story building is home to, on the main floor, Prime, a healthcare center for seniors that has 3 physicians with patient appointments, physiotherapy, leisure, and social activities. On the second floor is the pulmonary rehabilitation, which patients of seniors recovering and receiving treatment from pneumonia, blood clots, cancer, COPD, asthma, and allergies. And the Gateway Club on the second floor also provides respite for primary caregivers. On the third floor is the St. James 55 Plus Center. Hundreds of patients and visitors each day just at 203 Duffield. Then Deer Lodge Center to the east, hundreds of residents in long-term care and treatment, veterans of military, police, firefighters, paramedics, which they get preference to. And then citizens and the staff for that. And also the movement disorder clinic with clients with Parkinson's, tremor, polio, Huntington's, and restless leg. St. James citizens are extremely proud of the center, its connection to the community, the heroes and the seniors who reside there, and the angels that take care of them. Restricted parking on 5 streets over 8 blocks. There's staff walking from Ness Avenue. A section of Lodge at Sharp, not restricted, is filled with staff vehicles, staff carpooling to get a spot at 6 a.m. And for the residents that they park in front of, they're okay with that because they know the residents know the work and care they provide for the loved ones. Parking is at an extreme premium like no other. We know you're busy. You've seen thousands of these, but you need to understand the uniqueness of Duffield and the streets that surround this campus. A cookie cutter decision cannot be applied to Duffield Street. Adding 9 units and the pressures it brings to the street and back lane would be punishing to the residents on Duffield and the residents, staff, and visitors of Deer Lodge and the service providers. It would be a disservice. 24/7 parking issues. If you lived within a few blocks of Deer Lodge, you normally would not add additional pressure onto the street. Going to my slides.
This is the right in front of 202 Duffield across from and 203 Duffield. That is 7 days a week, day and night. It's 1 hour restricted parking. Planning department did not know that when they made the recommendation. The ward councillor did not know that it was down to 1 hour. 2 hours on other blocks around there. This is Sharp Boulevard, 1 block away. This is a lot of Deer Lodge visitors and staff parking there. And plus it's very busy with a very popular restaurant, apartment blocks across on Portage Avenue and other businesses. The developer and consultant spent days doing public consultation, came back with 4 signatures. I spent 4 hours over 2 nights and got 39 in opposition on a petition. There's a total of 51 people in opposition on the original hearing, of which every single one either lived there, worked there, or visited Deer Lodge Center. Of the 17 in support of the developer, 13 of them recognized as real estate sales and developers. No one living there, no one working there, no one likely to live in this development. So it's also probably to disregard the support that they acquired for this development. The developer, I can just exit this now if you want. But sharing, if you want to take it off it, or if you can do it from your end.
Yeah.
Developer cannot guarantee that any resident won't need any parking or parking permit. And there'll be more than 9 vehicles residing in 202 Duffield. No committee can direct parking authority to not issue parking permits. This appeal committee or the community committee or the property committees cannot promise to increase the size of the handy transit drop-off. And there will be visitors. Parking issues 24/7 at varying times. At the hearing, the planning department was not aware of the parking restrictions. I said that. The consultant, okay. The developer misrepresented my comparison to another project at 199 Parkview. He understated the size of the Parkview lot and overstated the size of 202 Duffield lot, where in fact, the lot impact percentage on Duffield is 11% greater than lot impact percentage on Parkview. And what happened at Parkview? It was an 8-unit, 3-story, 6-foot setback to the side. I'm almost done. If I can get 1 minute.
All in favor, opposed, carried.
Thank you. What the outcome was, it was downsized from 8 to 6. The height was downsized from 38 to 28. The side setback was increased by 2 feet. And in fact, planning did not recommend that proposal and suggested rezoning to only a duplex. Yet here we are, even though all the facts state 202 Duffield issues and impacts are even greater. And to your complete community strategy, words like compatible with residential development, housing affordability, positively contributes to the neighborhood, sensitive and complementary to existing development, characteristics of the immediate surrounding area, build form including mass, height, lot restrictions, and layout. Your own document, this project does not comply with the complete community's direction strategy. I implore you to approve our appeals, rescind the variances, and encourage the developer to come up with a plan for a 2-story, 25-foot tall, 4-unit, along with a greater front and north side setbacks. 2-story will allow for external entrances to all units, eliminating the need for internal hallways and be more like a townhouse.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? No, please.
Just to clarify, so your concerns, you're asking us to rule on a, really sounds like parking, which is not in front of us today.
What I'm asking you to do is to rescind the variances so that the project would be required to be smaller in size, therefore with less units, there'd be less of a parking pressure. Secondly, from when I was walking the neighborhood and spoke with dozens of residents, they are not only fearful of what this does itself, but also in fear of what could go up beside their homes. And the impacts to the pressures on the back lane, the sight lines, impact to neighboring property, etc. And also with the parking pressures, this is unique. There are hundreds of people that just use those facilities every day. And this is a major drop-off point for everything that goes on at 203 Duffield and visitors to Deer Lodge Center, that the construction period will be incredible impact to this neighborhood when you have large numbers of construction workers, trades, delivery of materials, a crane required to lift the trusses, concrete pouring, etc. That's going to be for a very long period of time to build a structure this size in this neighborhood. So, yeah, I'm asking that do not approve the variances, approve our appeal, and have the developer go back with a plan that could be more acceptable to the neighborhood on all concerns.
Thank you very much. So another question, Counselor? Or?
I'm trying to follow. So
Yeah.
the variances are for a front yard of 25 feet instead of 30. Again, that could be done. North side, I think that would be the south side, sorry, by back lane. North side, 6.5, that's something. So those are the variances. Parking not with 10 feet of a window, that's not really germane. It's something. Insufficient buffering, got it. So I'm not sure you'd be getting what you wish for. Because we're not talking about, we're zoning, it's already zoned RMFM. Yeah, I'm not seeing how just not approving the variance and you can get a shot at that. Then that's all we can do today is say we don't approve the variances if we said that. Well, they still can build.
The variance for the north side, the bylaw requires 12 feet.
Yeah.
And they're approving, and then they're requesting 6.
6.5.
If they go to hold them to a 12-foot setback, then they can't build what they're proposing. They can come up with a plan with.
I don't know if that's true. I think they can build smaller units, do the same thing, but smaller units, but that's your contention. I got it, but they could just build smaller. We're building 400 square foot units right now.
The curiosity is, yet the same as Assembly and Community Committee reduce the size of the one on Parkview, and this one has the same reasons at even a greater extent.
And that's fine for the community committee, but we're looking at this application today, so I'm just trying to get your rationale, and I'm having trouble digesting what you're talking about. Just not approving the variances.
The preference of the neighborhood would be, instead of a 3-story 9-unit, would be a 2-story 4-unit.
Yeah, sure.
Which they can do without variances.
Sure, they may want to do a single family house in neighborhood as well. I don't know. Under a housing accelerator fund, though, they can do a lot without even coming here. Okay, no, I hear you saying.
Limited to 4 units on the housing accelerator fund.
Up to 4 units, yeah, but it's an RMF. This is not an R1 property. Right. So it's already been approved R1. Yeah. So that's what they can do. So, okay, thank you. I asked the questions. Okay. Thank you.
No, again, the wish is that it be brought down to 2 stories and limited to, you can go 4 to 6 units. And then the parking requirements less, the parking pressures would be less.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thank you.
Okay, our next appellant is Kirk Baldwin. Well, up to 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Thank you.
Just to confirm, this is the same presentation you had sent over.
It is correct, yep.
There I go.
It's my first time with USB, but it never goes in right the first time. Here we go.
So I'll just get you to open it up and then share the screen on Zoom.
That is fine. There we go. Great, so thank you very much. Appreciate the time this morning. So my name is Kurt Baldwin. I am a resident at 211 Sharp Boulevard, which is just across the back lane and a few houses to the north from the property that's we're talking about here at 202 Duffield. Why I'm choosing to speak today, I'm opposed to the proposed development. We have chosen to make this area our home. We've been residents there for just over 18 years, and it's an established neighborhood and a great place for a family. The development that is in question is not a choice that we have as somebody that is moving to an area does have when they're looking at making a purchase. The changes, the character of the area, the access to amenities, and the safety of the neighborhood. I don't agree with some of the representation of our residents' concerns and the interpretation as it was applied to the guidelines. So I guess for clarity speaking, I'm asking for the appeal to be granted to not allow the variance so that they cannot, so the house or the development that is proposed today will not fit and could be downsized. So my wishes would be very similar to the previous speaker. So looking at, so these are items that I pulled out of the document that was presented at a council meeting on May the 22nd, where I don't agree that they have been met. So existing zoning, the properties, the property and the adjacent properties to allow this characteristics of immediate surrounding built form, including product mass, lot coverage, setbacks, and layout. This is different. That's why the variance is being asked for. This is a different development than what what is there today. The supporting street network and the network street's ability to support the proposed development. Again, that is what I would suggest is a traffic issue, which I'll talk a little bit more, and you'll hear more about as well. I also disagree with the criteria being met as far as having substantial adverse effect on the amenities and safety as it relates to increased traffic and access to parking, and is not compatible with the area in which the property is affected and is situated. This is my neighborhood. I'm really proud of where we live, and refer to this as a house that Jack built here. We're lucky enough to have the blueprints and known a lot of long-term residents in the area. Went for a walk down the street a couple of nights ago or over the weekend, and just took a couple of pictures to identify this is what the immediate block looks like down Duffield, as well as a couple down Sharp. And when looking at it, this is a nice building and it's a nice drawing, but this does not fit with the character within the community today. And that is a challenge with the that I have with a 9-unit 3-story building. It is not in character to a house like this, which is this is ours just across the back lane. Our current sight line. This is from our back of the garage. So you can see where little box is. That is the current residence. That is where a 3-story building will be put up. And this is the current structure. So this is a really big building that is going to go on to this lot, and will change the look as well as the some of the other amenities. As far as parking concerns, Sharp Boulevard and Duffield in particular, they are 1 to 2 hour restricted parking. It is a challenge ongoing, and especially when there's overnight snow bans as well. Traffic concerns, the back lane is already congested. Additional 9 to 10 parking lots to service the property. There will be visitors, friends, family. Traffic will definitely go up, and right now the back lane is being used for a lot of children in the area, kids riding bikes, playing basketball, lacrosse, and it's easy to. There's lots of neighborhood kids that are using this. I'm just about done. May I request a minute extension?
So moved. All's in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Here is just a look. This is actually behind the property in question here. It is it's a tight fit today. There is there's a lot of traffic, and even servicing some of the area is a bit of a challenge. Documentation that was supported. This is one that was presented at the last meeting. There's 4 signatures on there that are either supportive or not opposed One is moved. One is listed as a resident that is impacted. It's across Portage Avenue. It's in the south side of Portage Avenue, and it is a building. So I don't agree with that being having been impacted. The reasons for approval of the committee, the adjacent property or the abutting property will go as far as saying is supportive. I struggle, but if they are supportive, fine on record. But as far as saying supportive, I don't agree with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? No. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Okay, at this time, I'll call forward our next appellant, Steph Baldwin. If you'd like to come forward, you have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name. Not seeing.
She is my wife, and she just submitted online. Sorry if it was.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no problem. No worries. That's great.
With that, we'll move on to our final registered appellant, Lisa Ducharme. Lisa, if you'd like to come forward, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name. Appellants. We still have some.
Yeah. There's people who are officially appellants. Also, there are people who are in support of the appeal. I believe.
Correct.
You would be in support of the appeal. The main difference is you will not get to rebut what's been said by anybody who's in favor. Everybody who's up till now, including Steph here, will have an opportunity. Lisa, sorry. Up to Lisa, will have an opportunity to rebut anything that's said after the case. She gets to come back a second time. You would not.
Just the green button in the center.
Here, I come on. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Lisa Ducharme, and I've been a resident owner of 207 Sharp Boulevard for over 10 years. My property sits just 22 feet from 202 Duffield across the back lane, and like many of my neighbors, I remain strongly opposed to this proposed development and the significant compromises to the variances that have been made to allow it. As my fellow neighbors have mentioned, I'm here to oppose the variance, request the appeal to allow this development to potentially look at visiting their proposal and coming up with a smaller structure that fits better within our community. I begin with this question: why are the voices of the majority of local residents not being heard? The approval of this project contradicts what we as a neighborhood have overwhelmingly expressed. I, like others, was not meaningfully consulted. A petition circulated by Kelly Rybeck saw nearly 90% of respondents oppose the plan. The Winnipeg Free Press reported the 51 residents voiced official opposition, while only 17 supported it. Yet the committee on April 29th referred to this as a stellar project. This disconnect is very disheartening to our community. I'm a mother of 5. Our back lanes are not official playgrounds, but they are shared, active spaces. Something I know that is important to this council and to the city. Kids ride bikes, draw chalk games, and shoot hoops while parents look on. A sharp rise in traffic combined with existing disrepair, as you can see in these photos, will undoubtedly create a more dangerous environment for children and pedestrians alike. The proposed 9-unit multifamily building is simply an overbuild. This development demands extreme variances over 20% beyond allowable lot coverage. Side yard setbacks fall far below regulation, just 4 feet on one side and 6 on the other. These tight clearances pose security and safety risks. There will be windows and alleyways, walkways just feet from property lines. A 6-foot gap between bedroom windows and a 6-foot fence on the north side yard is a great place for anyone to lurk under darkness. Pedestrians and tenants will be forced to walk mere inches from vehicle traffic to navigate the south wall around the side building. We are not against development, but we are against development that ignores zoning and character. Affordable housing should not mean compromising minimum living standards. Several of the proposed suites are under 800 square feet. Tenants deserve livable, safe, and dignified homes. Infrastructure as well is a major concern. Our area already faces drainage and flooding issues on an annual basis. There is no clear plan from this developer for how wastewater and sewage from 9 new households will be managed. Waste collection is also problematic. The site's current configuration leaves no space for easy bin access by automated trucks. The developer has stated that there will be private refuse hired, but who holds them to that once this build is complete? More manual labor, more blockages, more disruption to our back lane. What this means to us, I can assure you it means little to the developer and the 17 who support this proposal that do not have to live here. Parking presents another serious challenge. The plan allots 9 tightly packed stalls with no buffer from the lane. In winter, with ice, ruts, and snow drifts, these places will be nearly unusable. Lining up the option as proposed in 90-degree angles will be impossible. There's simply too many units on this lot. This building is too big and there are too many units involved. You can see here on the public lane, I can tell you that the properties that are just to the west are completely flush with that lane, creating a near impossible situation and pulling in and backing out of those parking stalls. Pressures on neighborhood parking as well is already stretched thin due to health facilities, local businesses. You've heard this from my other neighbors that are here today. We are already operating at capacity and face parking restrictions and bans in winter and daily limits on single side parking that surrounds the block and stretches across many other areas. I want to also note that snow removal is also a big issue. Chris Thorne, the consultant with the developer, stated that the snow from the parking area will be located to the nearest patch of grass. With no side yards, where is this patch of grass? Parking lot is 1,564 square feet. If 10 centimeters of snow occurs, that's 27 cubic feet or 19 cubic yards. I just had 6 yards of soil sent to my house recently and it covered my entire back driveway. Snow plows to the alleyway occur regularly, at least 5 centimeters of snow before they come, which will be pushed into the resident lot. Winnipeg averages 111 centimeters of snow per year. So where is all of this going to go? Request for 1 minute addition.
So moved. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. As I mentioned, there's pressure on parking within the block. We have winter parking bans all surrounding this block. We have a 1 hour daily limit on Duffield. And this extends, as Kelly Ryback had mentioned, throughout many other streets. The Complete Community Strategies 2.0 states that new development should respect and complement the existing character of the built form. We don't believe that this is occurring along with nearly non-existence of side yards on the property, the proposed height of the building, the density, it doesn't fit. This can be addressed by simply limiting the number of suites should a new proposal be made that falls within better adherence to variances or not including variances to these different regulations. So our conclusion, reconsider the development plans due to safety, infrastructure, community concerns. We want to be able to see development come into our neighborhood. However, without sacrificing the people in the centers that make it a strong place to live.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so that concludes our registered appellants. So we can move on now to those in support of the appeal. First up, I will call Janice Albin. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Aubin. You can come forward. You'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name. Yeah.
Made a promise.
Is this what you had submitted before?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, now that I'm in the hot seat, I can't exactly come close to the other presenters. I'm just a resident on Sharp Boulevard, but and a lot of it that has been pronounced already. I have got it in my notes, so there'll be a lot of repeats. Anyway, good morning, council, ladies and gentlemen, and guests. My name is Janice Aubin, and I reside at 215 Sharp Boulevard, where I've lived there since 1986. Today, I'm speaking on behalf of my neighborhood in response to the development at 202 Duffield with my concerns. When I understand the need for the increased housing of the city's effort in rezoning accordingly, I believe this development is not appropriate for this location. A smaller 2-story, 6-suite apartment would be more suitable and would be better aligned with the safety and the infrastructure capacity of the area. The following concerns I have are as follows. The infrastructure, which is the sewer, the septic, and the water. The sewer and the septic system in this area are very old. My house was built in 1947, so it's just post-war, so they've never been upkeep. It is unclear how these systems will handle the significant increase of water usage generated by 9 additional units, each with multiple water fixtures, including 2 toilets from each suite. I am concerned about the potential impact of the water pressure and the water management for nearby properties, including my own at 215 Sharp. Additionally, the back lane between Duffield and Sharp, which is the first block we're talking about off Portage, has only one drainage manhole, and it's located further north from my home. It clogs frequently, and it typically maintains the residents clear it quite often because it does get clogged, which could cause concerns for additional drainage into there. Traffic and parking. This intersection that comes down from the alleyway and goes to the back between the 2 streets towards Portage there. It is very, very congested. And if a resident wants to get out of their parking spot and go to Portage, there's 2 ways. There's one going to the north and there's one going to the south. The south one, there's always lots of traffic coming at you, and you really have to be careful turning around. And this is right in front of where the 9 cars will be parked. So it is a very dangerous area, people coming and going into that intersection quite often. The winter time is another concern. Where are they going to put the snow? We have issues at our own place where we have to pile it up beside our garages, and sometimes that's not even enough. It does leave ruts in our alley and down by where that intersection is. And I have gotten stuck there many times with my car being teetered on a snowbank and ice. Lots of businesses in that area all use parking lot. They're all the caskets from the funeral home often use that back alley. They're restricted for their area also. A lot of businesses, and the cannabis store has increased the traffic tremendously in that area where they come screaming down our street, cross over that intersection and come north. Okay, we've talked about, the other people have talked about the parking bans, the snow bans in the wintertime, so the people can't park there overnight. And I would like to know whether this development will impact my property taxes, utility rates, or related municipal services, given the increased demand placed on this local infrastructure. In closing, I hope I have executed to this councillor my deepest concerns, and to those left to still present their appeal into valid considerations. I would hate that can I get an extension, please?
All's in favor, opposed, carried. 1 minute.
I would hate that our words have not been heard today, and that the can has been kicked down the road once again until we are no longer able to appeal in the future. Thank you very much for listening to my concerns.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Also in support of the appeal, we have Sarah Buchan. Buchan? Sarah, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Good morning. Actually, good afternoon. It's 12 noon.
Thanks for the note. I would have botched my opening. Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Buchan. I'm the executive director at the St. James Assiniboia 55 Plus Center, located at 203 Duffield Street. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the center and our community's older adults to express deep concern about the proposed building plans that would directly affect access to our center. I want to begin by acknowledging the challenging work you do as city councilors. You are tasked with making decisions and balance growth, development, and the well-being of all residents. I join you here today to respectfully ask that you give serious consideration to how this proposed development would affect one of our city's most vulnerable and most valuable populations, our older adults. Currently, our 55 Plus Center operates with limited parking. This is already a significant barrier for many of our participants who rely on walkers, wheelchairs, family caregivers, or handy transit to attend programs and connect with their peers. This new building proposal would take away the few spaces we have, further limiting access and in many cases completely cutting off older adults from the community resources they depend on. We explored potential solutions. We've reached out to Deer Lodge Center, our neighbor, to ask if they could accommodate us, but due to their own space limitations, they're unable to provide parking space for us either. That leaves us and those that use the center without viable alternatives. This may seem like a localized issue, but I want to emphasize the macro level impact this would have across our city. Health outcomes will worsen in our older adults. Our center offers preventative programs that reduce hospital visits, delay long-term care, placements, and support mental wellness. Limiting access to these services increases public health costs. Social isolation will increase. Without accessible community hubs, older adults experience higher rates of depression, cognitive decline, and even premature death. The community loses out. In 2024, our center engaged in 1,853 volunteers who contributed 5,692 hours. We offered 885 programs to 26,639 participants, and we connected with 51,499 individuals through resources and outreach. Limiting access to this center will deeply impact the community. The legal and ethical responsibilities come into play here, as the accessibility for Manitobans Acts requires that public spaces remain inclusive and accessible, and this proposal does not meet that standard. There are economic and reputational consequences. An inaccessible center reduces foot traffic to local businesses, undermines the city's identity as an age-friendly, inclusive community. Additionally, I would like to address comments made at the previous public hearing. It was suggested that the St. James 55 Plus Center may be moving to the St. James Civic Center, and that was taken into consideration. While there are discussions, there is no documentation to suggest this is a definite move or that site is ready for to be our future home. The center has been located at 203 Duffield Street since before 2017, and no realistic timeline or confirmation has been provided otherwise. Therefore, any suggestion should not factor into the decision-making process regarding this development. Another proposed solution was to expand the drop-off loop in front of our building. While appreciated in theory, this does not address the existing or future parking issues on Duffield Street, especially during and after construction of the new building. The added traffic from the new apartment will only increase demand for limited on-street parking, further straining access to our center. I must also correct misinformation brought to my attention after the last hearing. It was stated that the 55 Plus Center was approached by the current property owner of 202 Duffield Street, and that the center staff had expressed positive feedback about this project. That is false. No one from the center was approached regarding this development. I can state with full confidence that no member of our team supports this proposal. In fact, I have a petition with over 80 signatures from members of our community who oppose it. For clarity, a staff member did speak with someone at the dwelling during business hours to inquire about continued use of a rented parking pad located behind the property. The previous homeowner informed us that the property had been sold and advised us to follow up if we wish to continue renting. The center has rented this parking pad for many years for staff parking. The individual we dealt with to draw up the lease was not the property owner, but it was listed as Rico Real Estate, and the lease was not signed by the owner. It was signed by staff at Rico Real Estate on his behalf. At no point did we engage in discussion about this proposed development. It is extremely concerning that our center was referenced inaccurately to suggest support for a project we were neither consulted on or agree with, particularly when I was in attendance to voice opposition. Using our organization in this manner is misleading and unacceptable. As counselors, I know you care deeply about creating a livable and equitable city. That's why I'm urging you to reconsider the proposal or to revise it in a way that protects access to the St. James 55 Plus Center and honors the commitment to our aging population. This is not about opposing development. It's about making sure development does not come at the expense of the people who helped build this city. Thank you for your time, your service, and your consideration.
You. You're good. Look at that timing too. Okay. No questions. Nope. Okay. Thank you so much.
So that concludes those we had pre-registered to speak in support of the appeal. Just looking to the gallery, is there anyone else looking to speak in support of the appeal? Okay, seeing none, we can now move on to those in opposition of the appeal. I will first call forward the applicant, Chris Thorne. Chris, if you'd like to come forward, you have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I'd like that you to share the screen on Zoom as well.
Okay, just. Sure, yeah. I think I need to enter presentation.
I gotta share first. That just makes it easier.
Yes. Morning, or good afternoon.
Jeez.
My name is Chris Thorne. I'm with Chris Thorne Consulting. I was retained by the owners to lead the engagement process of this project proposal and obviously present here today. So I'll summarize because we only have 5 minutes here, but we're proposing a building that's 3 stories in height, 9 units, and 9 parking stalls for a 1-to-1 parking ratio, so no parking variances. This proposal meets all of the criteria of the city's own infill guidelines. We have full support from the city's planning department as it's currently proposed. It passed unanimously at community committee in April with full support from the area councillor, and we received positive comments for the adjacent neighbor support, who is the only neighbor that this property shares a property line with. For the fact that we're not requesting any parking variances, that we did extensive community consultation, and that we are providing affordable units here. And as you know, since then, the city has passed rules allowing for 4 units as of right, up to 4 stories in height, that this location would meet the criteria for. So in theory, a much larger building could be built at this site as of right. Won't get too into this. I think everyone's aware of the site context and the location here, and the planning context as well. I'll just quickly touch on the consultation that the owners had done with the city. So about halfway through the process, we were informed by Public Works that they needed some land for a lane widening. So on the south side of the property there, so we actually had to redesign the project to accommodate that, but we were still able to meet all of the requirements, parking, etc. And I just wanted to point out that Water and Waste actually was going to support up to 10 units here. It's fine in terms of sewer and water capacity. And as you know, with multifamily projects, all of the stormwater is retained on site with catch basins. Okay. Okay, on to the elevations. So we were very meaningful in designing this building to be respectful of the surrounding neighbors. So this is facing Duffield towards Deer Lodge. So we've oriented the balconies and most of the windows to this side, and then to the other side facing this side lane. So we have balconies on this side. This is the side facing the rear lane. So 5 of those windows are just located in the stairwell. The other 5 windows are located in bedrooms, so they are required. But we tried to minimize the windows on that side where we could. No balconies on this side, obviously. This is the north elevation. So this faces 204 Duffields. So what had been done here is on the main level, we needed to have 2-bedroom windows. The property is set back 6.5 feet on the main floor, but it's obviously going to be screened by a 6-foot tall wooden fence. And then above, on levels 2 and 3 of the building is set back a further 3 feet, and then there's no windows on that elevation as well. Now this is the side facing the side lane in the commercial property, so we've oriented some balconies and windows facing that direction to minimize the impact. Just some floor plans. I'll skip over that. Okay, so community engagement. We did several rounds of community engagement. I personally knocked on the doors of residents on Duffield and the east side of Sharp Boulevard, talked to many people. I got full support from the neighbor immediately to the north. And then I hosted a virtual open house for anyone else who had follow-up questions. And we took that feedback in mind when we were redesigning the building. Okay, I won't go into all the feedback they received, but to me, it seemed like the major concern was parking. And I would just suggest that that is a valid concern. I think parking restrictions on Duffield and Sharp need to be reevaluated. But that's a separate matter in my opinion. We're not asking for any parking variances. The property is very well serviced by transit. It's 100 meters from or 70 meters away from Portage Avenue and providing bicycle parking. Could I have one more minute?
All's in favor? Thank you.
Okay, so just to summarize, so we're meeting the stated objectives and requirements of the city's planning documents. Worked very closely with the city's planning department, public works, and water and waste. We have a plan that's 100% supported here. We did extensive community consultation. Some of those changes we're able to incorporate into our design. We're providing missing middle housing, including some affordable units. And I also wanted to point out that the main floor units are at grade. So they would be more accessible units than units that would need to take some stairs up. So very sort of senior friendly and good for people who are mobility impaired. And as I mentioned, it passed unanimously at community committee. And then just in terms of the building form, what we're proposing here is significantly less than what can be built just as of right. So thank you for your time.
Councilor Oliver.
Yeah, I got my mic. To clarify, as of right, you mentioned, I gather you're talking about the Housing Accelerator Fund?
That's right.
That's a fourplex. So
I just meant in terms of building form, like the actual
form.
size of the building.
Okay, that's okay. So yeah, building form is smaller than the a fourplex would be on this side of the lot as of right. Is that what you meant?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. That made me a little confused there. Now I got it. Do you know the side yard setback for the adjoining north neighbor? How far is that house set back from the side yard?
I don't know that off the top of my head. It doesn't appear to be too close from what I can remember, but
I'll see if the administration can find that information out for me.
Sure.
What other question I had? Yeah, so like you said, the building could be higher, it could be bigger. Generally that, if the RMF, it could be bigger. I'll check with that. 6-year got that one. So let's if you lost some side yard, let's say the one of the variance wasn't approved, would that just change the size of your units? Or would
it would? I think that would be unfortunate though.
Yeah, of course.
I think we've already made some concessions due to the city's request to widen the lane. And I think you wouldn't want the units to get to a size where they're less desirable or rentable. As we know, there's a housing crisis in the city of Winnipeg. And I think we need to take the opportunity where we can to create good housing units where available and where there's the sewer and water capacity.
Fair enough. And parking's not in this today, so. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, also in opposition to the appeal, we have Tajinder Singh. Tajinder, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation. After you state your name.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tajinder Singh. I'm one of the owners for this project. When we acquired this property, even before taking the possession, because we had a due diligence period, we did talk to the ward councillor. That is how this whole process started. And after we took the possession, the initial preliminary plans were seen by the councillor in this very building. And he made certain suggestions. He was very happy about the project. And then we went to the public service planners to make sure that our design is compatible with the infill guidelines at that point in time. After we submitted the formal application, Public Works came in and they said that they need 1 meter, which is 3.23 feet of lane widening along the south lane. And they also need a corner cut. Initially, our south side yard was 6 feet. Because of that lane widening, now if we count into the lane widening, the whole of the side yard is more than 7 feet. And towards the north side, where the neighbor is supportive of the development, her side yard, the actual property line is about 10 feet. So that's why she was supportive, because it wouldn't have impacted her side. And on the main level on our side, we are still at 6.5. That's why it's just a terminology in the variance that instead of a 12 feet variance, we are at 6.5. We are at 6.5 only on the main level. And then we go to 9 feet on levels 2 and 3. In terms of affordability, we designed this project to match the CMHC MLI Select program. So the north units on level 2nd and 3rd are 1 bed, 1 bath. Those will be our affordable units. So that's how we are going to take our project once it's approved to the MLI Select program of CMHC so that we can qualify for that. The main floor units are at grade so that even if the seniors across the street, somebody wants to rent it, somebody who doesn't use a wheelchair obviously can access the units and live in there comfortably. It's on a corner site. It's about a stone's throw away from Portage Avenue. There have been multiple projects that have been approved on lots that are bigger in size as this one. This one is almost 8,000 square feet. It has capacity for 10 units, which we confirmed during our pre-application stage with Water and Waste and municipal engineers at Barnes and Duncan. We made considerable efforts on the behest of ward councillor, and it was our duty to go do community consultation. Obviously, we hired Chris to do it. And back and forth with planning, it took us almost about 4 months to come at a design which is compatible with the standards of the city and which wouldn't have that much impact. We could have gone more in terms of lot coverage because we are still at 35. We could have gone up to 37, 38%, but we are not going there. Neither we intend to. This is our intent, and it will add to city's goal in terms of reducing housing prices. So the units are already, they're not like 1,000 square feet units. They're 700, 750, 800 or 600 square feet units. So even if we shrink the size further, I don't think so it will make financial sense to even go for such a project. Again, we've provided a number of trees, and we were at the committee insisted that we can plant more trees on the north side, like 2-3 trees if need be. But the councilors at community committee were very happy about the project, and it was passed unanimously without any conditions or any other sort of implications. So my final request is that you consider our considerable time, effort, and money we have spent to bring the project up to this stage and approve it.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to questions. Councilor Olako?
Yeah, so you mentioned affordable housing. Did I hear you correctly say your intent is to do two?
Two affordable units, sir. This is our intent. It will go in front of the MHC, and they will look into the feasibility. They'll look into a lot of other matrix as well, like in terms of financial viability, the cost of construction and all that. That is our intent. But again, if not passed, then we'll be just building it outrightly with our own finance.
Okay, that's fine. And just considering that as part of the parking requirement number, but I think you spoke at it. It's something to think about, but again, you don't have that in place yet. So because if you actually had affordable units already designated there, you could probably be reducing it. No, 0.25?
Because of the MLI Select program, it's not deeply affordable. Yeah. Only the deeply affordable units get the 0.15.
Thank you very much. I was going to answer that question later, but sorry for that. We jumped ahead a bit on you a bit. Okay, good. Thank you. Nope, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to the appeal? And anyone for information? Seeing none, we can move on to questions for the administration.
So we're just talking, I know today we've done a little bit of rehashing the rezoning, which is understandable. It's not the first time we had it, and I do support Councillor Bawadi for not shutting that down. Generally, we do. It's a balance between allowing people to rehash the rezonings, which is a done deal. Reputation's closed on that. But we allowed that today, and so again, I thank Councillor Bawadi for that. Because people's voices are important to be heard. But we're looking at today is the variances, not the parking. There's no parking variance in this at all. So I see that. So my questions will be specifically to the variances. The variances on the side yards, they're calculated how again? Like, so it's 12. Really, my issue would be the north side. I don't really have a big issue in the front yard. I don't have a really big issue on the south side. So let's say the north side, again, it's at 6.5. Again, we heard there's a big side yard in the north. The neighbor in the north, they don't mind. They're actually okay with this. They're not here today. So how is the 12 feet though calculated? The requirement for 12 feet side yard.
Yeah, so the requirement for RMFM is to have 8 feet side yard, and this is adding 2 feet for each story above to the maximum of 20 feet. Okay. In this case, it's maximum to 12 feet.
Okay. And then the 4 foot on the south, the 4 foot on the south side. I understand there's a drive lane there. So could they, well, no, I don't want to get to that because theoretically, I guess we could have a bigger variance on the south side yard because it's running on a public lane. So they could be 2 feet off that.
Yeah, so it's in the narrowest point, it's 4 feet. It increases to 5.5 near the front of the building. And again, if the property line was to be maintained before taking and widening of the lane, that would be 7 feet minimum.
Right, so it's a cut, turn cut where they show some pictures of that's a pretty tight corner. So you got the curb cut going there, or what do you call that? And then the lane itself is getting wide. And so that's taking property from them to do so. Okay. Because that's what we're dealing with today. And also there's 1, 2, 3 issues there. So those ones I'll be focusing on in my decision.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move back to the appellants, I guess.
Okay, so we'll start calling back the appellants. Just a reminder, you can speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted. First up, Kelly Ryback.
Thank you. First, a comment from the applicant, parking valve concern restrictions to be reevaluated. That's not for this committee. It's for a later date. There are parking permits of residents and parking permits of users of the services provided at 203 Duffield. The concern about parking, as I mentioned earlier, is about not what they have on their lot. It's what their visitors and during construction will impact on the street, or if any residents of this new project get a parking permit to park on the street. And for 8 blocks, people need parking permits. It's not realistic to think that this will be one parking stall per unit. Secondly, both the applicant and the owner talked about at grade level, and they talk about accessibility, and a senior could rent it in a wheelchair. That is not accurate. And it's not new information because it's in the plan. Yes, it's at grade level, but those main floor units do not have 36-inch doors, wider hallways, do not have oversized bathrooms to accommodate a wheelchair, and that with the bedroom. My daughter lives in a home that is visitable, but is not accessible. It is a stretch and inaccurate to say that the main floor units would be accessible. They are strictly only visitable because you can get a wheelchair in or a walker in without having to go through over a threshold. That's it, period. They talk as of right. Yes, if it was as of right, they could do the same footprint. Bigger. But would it be affordable going to 4 stories if requiring an elevator and special and fire building codes? Secondly, as of right, they would only be limited to 4 parking stalls and only 4 units, therefore less visitors and less impact, easier to build. Construction period I mentioned will be horrendous to this street and the back lane, and all the impacts to the residents and to the service providers and the users and the residents of both 203 Duffield, all 3 floors, and Deer Lodge. I know myself, I visited Deer Lodge and I visited 55 plus with people living there. And there are people who don't visit their loved ones because they cannot find parking. And this will only make this issue even bigger. Affordable housing in the hearing, yeah, applying for 2, but that is just at a reduced rate, not the Manitoba housing rate of only 30% of your income. And there's no guarantee that anybody going into an affordable unit will or will not have a vehicle, and they will have visitors. So still the same concerns. And again, fully supportive if it was 2 stories, be it 4 units or 6, be it a townhouse style. So therefore every unit has its own external entrance. They're not required to do stairwells internally, not required to do center hallways or a lobby, foyer, etc. It'd be more appealable to this development if it was more of a townhouse limited to 2 stories under 28 feet. Just want to check my notes because we had no time to actually prepare for the rebuttal as they spoke. Again, the owner talked about this 8,000, almost 8,000 square foot lot. That's not the case. After the city takes the 4 feet on the south side, is only 7,594. So again, he's just exaggerating in order to gain favor and to make a point. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Any follow-up questions? Nope. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, up next, we'll call forward Kurt Baldwin.
Yeah, I feel you, man.
Yeah, every year gets
a little bit better.
Yeah, a little better. So yeah, I'll be quick. I really do appreciate your time, and as far as some of the comments that were made, recognize there has been a tremendous amount of time, energy, and dollars invested to where the current owner is to date. We are not opposed to a new development. I know it's what's on the table today with the variances versus some of the things that we're bringing up. I feel strongly that recognizing what's been done, want to ensure that even though that there has been work, time and energy, dollars spent, that it's, it's not it doesn't impact negatively the citizens in the community with by denying this appeal and letting it go forward as it sits today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, up next, we call forward Lisa Ducharme.
Thank you. Again, as my neighbors have stated, I do appreciate this is decision time and that it's a lot for this council to work towards. So I appreciate your time. One of the things I wanted to mention, we hinge a lot on the north neighbor. I will state, as the back lane neighbor to this neighbor, she's just simply not impacted the way that we are. Neighbor is very much not there a lot of the time, spends a lot of time down south. The contractor talks about extensive community consultation and concessions made for the city, but the idea that we would be bigger, we were only doing it this big and not this big, demonstrates to me a bit of a lack of consideration of community interest. It's almost like saying, well, we're doing you a favor, we're going this height and not this height instead. The affordable units are not deeply affordable, as you mentioned. The majority of units within the building are under 800 square feet. I have an elderly mother and sister-in-law as well who live in Manitoba housing. I wouldn't want her bedroom wall inches away from a busy alleyway, which is really what's going to be happening in the case of that south wall. They also need parking in Manitoba housing, and they do drive cars. Mentioned that waste and water had been consulted in the documentation. This is not new information. It does state that the subject land is located in a combined sewer district. The sum of the wastewater and land drainage runoff peak discharge from the proposed future development cannot exceed the allowable discharge rate. However, I fail to see the plan as to how this will occur. We do know that most of the suites will have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. As my neighbors had mentioned, this is an old infrastructure in terms of our wastewater. We flood on an annual basis. So this is just a little bit concerning to me that while they state that they have consulted with waste and water, perhaps there's enough water to come to the building, but really how are we ensuring that this is not affecting the discharge rate on very old infrastructure for sewage? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? No. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we can move on to motions.
Can we do this one? What, right? Am I up?
Sure.
All right.
I can do it if you prefer.
I think we're on the same page. See where we're at. Where to go? There it is. The report of Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The seated public meditation be concluded.
All's in favor? Opposed, carried.
So in accordance with subsection 2473 of City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and the applicable secondary plan. B, does not create a substantial adverse effect in mixed use, safety, convenience, adjoining property, an adjacent area, including areas separated from the property by a street or waterway. It's a minimum modification of the zoning bylaw required to lead the hindrance effect of the zoning bylaw, the applicant property, and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected situated is. What I've heard today is the area is under a lot of stress, and I hear that. This isn't a rezoning. This has been approved unanimously by the community committee. This is looking at specifically the variances. I also have heard that why don't you just not approve all the variances, so therefore we can get around the community committee's approval and shrink the footprint down, so they can't do that. Well, that's not how they've approved this already. So we're looking at just the front yard setback. The 5 feet, they did lose some property in the back. I believe that 5 feet, if it was an R1 or a regular residential, the city already has that variance in there to do that. So I don't see that being great. It's also by a back lane, so it's not around the mid-block area, so that's good. North side, there's a very large north side there, especially with the neighbor's property. So I don't believe that's germane to say we're just going to keep it at 6.5 and so 12 feet. We'll make it at 12 feet. I think that's fair. Where the lot is situated in the south yard, 4 feet, not inches, 4 feet from the back lane is applicable. I did definitely hear many people talking about the parking. This is part of the bylaw. They're not asking for a parking variance. What I've heard today is people say, I wanted to do less than is actually allowed, and just make that happen by changing some of these side yards. That time came at the rezoning. The idea right now that we're gonna try to, I think one concern is make it a 2-story, 6-suite. So we're talking 1 story. I think their setback already on the building is quite impressive on the 2nd and 3rd floor. They've already set that back. And the 6 suites rather than 9, we're talking 6 suites rather than 9. 9 was approved by the community committee. So while I respect the fact that there's some parking issues there, I don't, and the other idea, they talked about sewer capacity. Well, again, what that means mostly is, it's high water flow rates, not just sewer, flushing their toilet. We've gone through this many times. It's when there's rain, a lot of rain. That's what they have to make sure, because of the land drainage area is less. That's what they have to capture, so it doesn't all pour into it and back up your sewers. So that's, with the new high efficiency toilets, again, it's not even germane to this, I just want to point it out. They look at that, but this will not have that effect, and they will have to take the land drainage and store that on site, which does cost quite a bit of money. But again, they're aware of that. So while I respect the fact that they like to rezone this thing down, RMF, that is not in the preview of this committee today. Committee is to do these side yards, are they appropriate? I say they are. The parking spaces, we already talked about the cutout, we got that dealt with. So overall, while I respect the issue of the neighborhood not wanting, 3 more parking spots, based upon what I've been hearing, I don't believe that's germane enough to defeat, to say the side yards. We're not really talking about parking. So for those reasons, I'll be supporting the application. I'll be denying the appeal. So where am I now?
I can call for a question, I guess. I'll just quickly comment. You very well articulated, Councilor Orlico. For the same reasons that you state, that again, simply what's germane to this particular hearing is the variances and really nothing beyond that. So for that reason, I'll be supporting you. So the motions are made. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The appeal be denied and the decision of the Assiniboia Community Committee be concurred.
Favor? Opposed? Carried.
The variance order DAV 101327/2025D be confirmed.
Favor? Opposed? Carried. Sorry,
my bad. But the public hearings respect to this appeal be concluded.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Please note that the committee has made a decision on this matter that is not subject to further appeal.
Move to adjourn.
So moved. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everybody.